that we've got for you today. Of course, the big one
is Brendan Schaub.
Is the Brendan Schaub peeing in sinks. You know, I kind of tapped out of the Mark Harley, Brendan Schaub stuff.
Okay.
Because there was just, I mean, it got really childish. Like, Mark Harley was, like, legitimately hurt by getting fired by Brendan Schaub. And I think the fighter and the kid stuff has just taken such a big hit over the last year that Brendan's had to cut back. It happens. Okay. The economy sucks ass too, so he's had to cut back. He let Mark Harley go. And Mark Harley just went all over the internet and just
shit on him hard.
Shit on Brendan Schaub all over the place, which I think is kind of a scumbag move. But the internet hates Brendan Schaub and they love pro wrestling drama, so they ate it all up. But he started coming out with stories where I'm like, all right, there's like 5 or 6 Brendan Schaub, Mark Harley things we didn't really do on the show. Because I'm like, okay, guys, Jesus. Plus, I mean, kick a guy while he's down. Like, I'm at the point now with Brendan where I'm almost at the point I was with him when we used to talk about DSP, where I'm like, okay, guys, we get it.
It's more of the same.
Yeah, wog to the trug. Like, we're not 10. Like, I need something new. And luckily, there has been some new stuff. Number one, Brendan got some sympathy last week. He apparently wanted to have Bruce Buffer do announcing for one of his specials.
Okay.
And I guess Andrew Schultz wanted to do some damn thing happened where Brendan Schaub paid like 10 or 15 grand for something involving Bruce Buffer. And then Andrew Schultz bitched about it. And Rogan told Andrew Schultz to pay Brendan Schaub. And Andrew Schultz never paid Brendan Schaub for the $15,000 for the Bruce Buffer thing. Rich people problems, right? And no, Bruce is my friend. He's my friend. He's my friend. He's my friend. And I guess they went to Rogan court. It is amazing how much of this stuff
comes back to Joe.
But how much of it is like a joke coming true? You're like, oh, what are you guys going to do? Have Joe wear a powdered wig and decide this for you? It's like, no, actually, yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do.
I would love to see that bit.
Yeah. And Yuichi says Schultz sucks almost as much as Schaub. I agree with you. Like, Andrew Schultz is... That guy, to me, reeks of, like, the industry made him and has him in the spot they want him. Because, like, he did that Kanye rant, and it was so cringe. It was so bad. Like, it was, like, pandering to Gen Z, but, like, also, Kanye's a bad guy. It was really hard to watch. But at any rate, you know, people would make the joke that, if Schultz and Schaub have a problem, they're going to go to Daddy Rogan, and he's going to mediate the thing. And no shit, we find out from the big gay lion himself, Mark Harley, that's exactly what happened.
Oh, no. Dude, if you're Brendan, how much does that gotta hurt?
No, Joe ruled that Schultz should pay Brendan the $15,000.
No, but I mean just in general that you have to have Joe come in and be like, look, I gotta act out for this guy because he can't handle his shit. And not only can he fuck things up, I gotta fix his fuck ups for him because he can't get his fucking money back.
Joe is kind of the parent of college-age children or like post-college-age children where at some point you do have to go, guys.
At a certain point, they've left the nest.
I'm cutting you off. I got to be done with this shit. And like, I wonder if there's any of these comics who feel like they're bothering Joe, or if they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to talk to Rogan about, like, are they like using Rogan, or do they feel bad when Rogan has to come into it?
Maybe it's because I just don't think very highly of him, but I think Schaub totally just goes and fucking calls Rogan, drop of a hat. Like, oh no, Joe, they're being mean to me again, Joe.
Mikey Two Milks with 199 says, my channel is unbanned. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Nice job, bud. Eternal Extrapolation says, Aaron is definitely right that a couple of schlubby Schultzes were lifted up by the people who own the dramatic arts. I don't know what you're saying about that. So anyway, Brendan got a little bit of sympathy after the Andrew Schultz thing, because people are now telling Andrew Schultz, like, hey, why haven't you paid Brendan the 15 grand? Why haven't you compensated him for this dispute that you guys had? But then we had Mark Harley pulling me back into the Brendan Schaub shit with the allegation that Brendan Schaub, now Brendan says this happened once or twice. Mark Harley says this happened regularly, where Brendan Schaub would just piss in sinks in front of employees. Which is, like, it. You see what I mean about this all being 8-year-old shit? Like, you got fired, and now you're like, oh yeah, well, he goes wee-wee in a sink. Like, it's funny.
I feel like that's an HR complaint before now. If it's not, what do you care?
That's kind of my problem with Mark Harley's whole thing now is like all of this stuff that he sees as terrible and awful and no good.
He was all right co-signing it before?
It was fine before. He never made a complaint. He never spoke up about it. So at best, we can say about Mark Harley, he's a mercenary. If you pay him, he'll close his eyes and shut his mouth. At worst, we can say Mark Harley is kind of a disloyal guy who, you know...
A little bit of a turncoat.
A little bit of a turncoat who just gets bitter when you break up with him, so he goes and tells a lot of your private secrets. I actually don't like a lot of the shit he's doing. The problem is some of it gets really funny and, like, sometimes it gets so childish that I'm like, I have to tap out. But some of it goes, oh, this is just silly and harmless. I
need to play with this dirt.
Yes. So apparently the Brendan Schaub piss thing got out, as anything involving piss will.
It leaked.
Yes. And Brendan had Howie Mandel on his fight companion. I think this was for the Jake Paul, Tommy Fury fight. He kind of took the idea of fight companion from Rogan, and he gets to like sublease it, I guess. And he had Howie Mandel on, and let's let Too Lazy to Try explain it so I don't fuck it up. And then, of course, we'll watch the clip and give you our reaction. Here we go.
All right, so this whole Brendan Schaub saga just got a billion times better. This is one of the funniest things I've seen in a while. If you remember the AMA that Mark Harley did over on the Fighting the Kid Star about it a couple weeks ago, he revealed some interesting information regarding Brendan Schaub and a sink over at Thick Boy Studios, and I thought it was hilarious. I thought this was one of the funniest things.
So Mark Harley said he pees in the sink every day at Thick Boy Studios in front of everyone, and the creative director asked him very politely to stop, and he said, sure thing, then kept doing it. I'll say this. I would believe that. Brendan Schaub looks like the kind of idiot
who would be like, yeah, I'll stop doing that, and then just keeps going.
Well, and not only that, he seems like the kind of guy, like when you look at his sense of humor, he would think something like that is just like the most hilarious thing you've ever thought of.
Stop pissing in the sink. I know it's funny, right?
Right, and he doesn't get the social cues that people are uncomfortable that you're pissing in front of them.
I can smell your dick.
Right, I don't want to smell your dick. So then someone goes, hey, could you cut the shit? Could you stop pissing? Oh, yeah, sure. If he didn't have the money, he just doesn't seem like a guy you'd want to hang around with.
I just feel like if he didn't have Joe Rogan pushing this, like this stuff wouldn't take off like it has without the help.
He would be like slurring his speech and like still fighting in cages at this point.
Things that Brendan's done, and now it just got a billion times better because he happened to have Howie Mandel on today for his fight companion, and of course Howie, he's a germaphobe, so a bunch of people on Twitter were warning him about Brendan's bathroom activities.
You guys are fucking assholes.
I support it though.
You guys really do suck. They go on there like, Howie, I mean, I get it. Howie's a germaphobe, and it is kind of funny to let Howie know, like, hey, this guy pissed in a sink. And that's not too bad. Like, if you're Brendan, you should be able to have a sense of humor about that and be able to joke that off. Like, yeah, I've pissed in a sink before. What are you going to do?
I mean, in all honesty, it's gross, but like
harmless.
If there's nobody there and you clean the sink after, who gives a shit?
Yeah. I mean, put your dick away at work, but, you know.
Well,
small potatoes.
Why start now?
Kind of concerned by it, so he brought it up during the fight companion, and Brendan was obviously so uncomfortable about it. Also because it's Howie Mandel calling him out, a pretty big guess for him, and he's a germaphobe.
Right, like if Eddie Bravo calls you out, who gives a shit? That guy's a weirdo. But if Howie Mandel's like, you know, like America's sweetheart goes, hey, don't piss in a sink? People are like, yeah, you know, Howie's right. Why are you pissing in sinks, bro?
It's kind of gross, dude.
Yeah.
So he probably doesn't want him like running out of the building. If he realizes Brendan's pissing in a sink, he's probably not going to be very happy. But this was a legendary moment right here. So Brendan should be proud of this. But I'm sure he's probably just even more angry at Mark Harley after all this because...
You know, this is an interesting point that Too Lazy to Try brings up. How much of Brendan's problems could have been avoided if he hadn't acted like king shit? Like
almost all of them.
If he had just been humble and had fun with the shit that's being thrown out there. Because what has he really done that's like horrible, terrible, awful? I mean...
He hit on a chick. Like I think
he hit on
allegedly.
Yeah, he hit on a chick. He could have had some fun with that. He could have moved on from that. And, dude, he could have sold Walk Me to the Trug fucking t-shirts.
Yeah.
He could have owned that and made a fortune off of it. There was the Bobby Lee thing. That was a little shitty, but I feel like that was as much Kalila fucking around behind the scenes.
But again, this is more to your point, though. If you would have had fun with it, it would have blown over. We would have moved on.
Yeah, he would have. But like the pissing thing, maybe he'll learn his lesson. We'll see. Maybe he'll have fun with the pissing thing.
At least learn to hold it.
Now Howie's calling him out basically because of Mark since he did that AMA. So I'm sure Brendan's furious at him. But also now Mark is kind of helping Brendan get that $15K from Schultz by exposing that whole story. And people are kind of on Brendan's side with that. So
do you see how I kind of see this as a little 8-year-old-ish?
Yeah.
Like, oh, Brendan's doing good. Everyone's keeping score. Brendan's having a good week. Brendan's having a bet. Here's what they don't understand about all these podcasters. They're all going to be fine.
They'll be okay.
Nobody's winning. Nobody's losing. Nobody's having a good day. Nobody's having a bad day. They're doing a show. All of us are projecting that shit onto them. Like, I'm sure Brendan Schaub is fine.
I mean, I don't know about that. He pees in a sink.
Look, okay, all things considered, Brendan Schaub is happy with himself.
Okay, I'll accept that.
That's what I mean. So, like, he's not winning. He's not losing. Like, everybody's a 9-year-old now. Like, you don't want to be involved. You gotta not.
He is losing when he's worried about the haters, B.
But like, my advice I'd give to Brendan is the same advice I'd give to people that are actually seriously invested in this. Have fun. Have a good time with this shit.
They're not your friends.
Dude, I hear Mersha's voice so many times in my head the last week. I've just heard, these people aren't your friends. And they're not. It's pro wrestling. And you just got to divorce yourself from that shit, make jokes, and have fun. That's how you grow as a human, as it were.
You know, it's kind of a good thing for Brendan, even though I don't think he'll care about that. All right, so now let's get to the clip here. This is one of the best fight companion moments ever. Like, out of every fight companion, Joe Rogan, Brendan Schaub, whoever does fight companions, this is the greatest moment of all time. No question about it. All right, so here's the clip. It's in the video for now.
I tell you what, Too Lazy to Try is kind of turning into a little bit of a hype guy, isn't he?
A little bit.
Like, he's like,
which is
oh,
weird.
Brendan's having a good week. He's having a bad week. Oh, this was the greatest ever. It's like, Too Lazy to Try kind of started out as a guy who was like, who gives a fuck, guys? What the fuck? Here's the clip.
Was
Go
the
ahead.
kind of monotone delivery that I thought was part of the character that I liked. That sold it like, oh, I'm too lazy to try.
Now he's throwing a little judgment in there. He's
getting a little saucy.
He's getting his opinions in there. I get it. He's growing. It's working for him, right?
It's still good content.
He's doing really well.
Hope Brendan doesn't claim it. I feel like he probably will. If it's not here, you can check it out. It's all over the Fighter and the Kids subreddit, obviously, and I'm sure on YouTube.
You're good.
But I'll put it in for now. Hopefully it stays up.
My Twitter feed lit up a little bit more to say, don't go to the bathroom there because you piss in the sink.
Now, let me give you the context of this. They're watching fights during the Jake Paul, Tommy Fury card.
So they kind of have something else to talk about.
They have Ryan Garcia, who's like the young, hotshot, up-and-coming champion. He's going to be fighting Gervonta Davis in a couple of months. They could be talking about that blockbuster fight they got coming. They could be talking about, the Jake Paul fight that's coming up, anything.
Have you pissed in the sink, Brendan?
You can tell that this Twitter shit bothered Howie Mandel for a long time.
Because he had to mention it.
He sat there. This wasn't like we started the show with sink pissing. This was Howie Mandel just sitting there, probably not even listening to everyone the whole time, going, when's a good time to bring up the sink pissing thing? When's a good time to bring up the sink pissing thing? I've put Purell on my hands 14 times since I've been here because every time I think about the goddamn sink pissing thing, I got to take a few more squirts.
And that's the thing, too. Like, you don't have to use the bathroom. You're fine, right? Like, you should be okay. But this has messed him so much that he's in the middle of the show. Hey, so let's just talk about this. You and your dick in the sink. What's up with that?
In the option that I have to urinate today, am I going to be washing my hands in your piss? That's the question. That is the disgusting thing. That is the disgusting thing about peeing in a communal sink, is that other people have to go and wash their hands.
And now it's
in
like
that sink. Although,
gross.
Isn't piss clean? I thought piss was like 90% sterile.
Maybe at the exact moment that it's made.
Okay. I could be wrong. Look, I ain't no doctor. Don't take my advice. If you guys are looking for advice on piss, don't come to me.
Where?
What?
Did they said that you said this out loud?
Wait,
Does he piss in the sink here?
Go to, I've done it
never
maybe
seen it.
once.
Okay, but
I've done it maybe once.
Wait a minute. No, that means more than once.
That means that's a regular thing.
I've done it maybe once. There's never maybe once. You know what? I did coke once.
I didn't. I'm jealous.
I didn't do coke maybe once. If you did coke maybe once, you did coke 57 times.
I did coke maybe once that I remember, and at least 37 times that I was completely fucking out of my gourd.
So if someone says, do you piss in the sink? You're like, maybe one time. Okay, that means at least 2. Maybe 1 means at least 2.
Hold on, I'm going to go use your sink.
No, it's the toilet, Johnny. We've talked about this.
All right, fine, I'll figure it out.
You know, Brendan could actually get a pass on this by just saying, oh, I'm a really stupid guy. I really thought that's where you go piss. And people might believe him for that.
Sink looks like a urinal.
Yeah, I mean, people might hear Brendan go, oh, sorry, B, I thought that was just where you go pee-pee. And people will go, oh, Brendan doesn't understand that the sink. Like, Brendan could have leaned in and then, like, started washing his hands in the toilet bowl. And just going like, oh, I thought this was just how you did it. I thought this was how pissing worked. And they would go, oh, no, it's not that Brendan's a gross frat boy. It's that Brendan's just really remarkably stupid and never learned how to properly piss. That's what he should have gone with. I mean, either have a sense of humor about it or lean into the pissing thing.
I mean, so that was the whole thing. Nobody's talking about the fight. Everybody was saying, Howie, how are you going to go there? He pisses in the sink. Brendan's talked about he pissed in the sink.
I had to pee in the sink one time. It was a state of emergency.
I'll be honest.
Oh, so he goes from maybe once to now he can recall at least a specific time to where, again, Brendan, just laugh at yourself. That's the only way you're going to survive this shit. You got to laugh at yourself. The only time you see people on the internet melt down and go away is when they can't laugh at themselves. And it's a long game. It's not a short game. You know? I had to just remove myself from something because it was all just toxic, angry people doing toxic, angry shit while I'm trying to just goof around and have fun. And I'm like, if I stay in this, I'm going to melt down like these guys. I don't want to do that. I don't want to melt down like these people. I basically watched people decades older than me, and I went, I don't want to be like that when I'm that age. I'm going to waste my life. I got to go have a good time. That's what Brendan's got to do. Brendan's got to say, I want to be like Joe when I'm in my 50s. So now I want to go have fun, and that means making fun of yourself. I mean, you notice none of the punches land on this show because it's all shit that we've talked about and made fun of on the show. Have you ever seen his boxing match? Yes, we've watched it many times on the program.
Even last night?
Yeah. Did you know he did this or that? Yes, we've joked about that on the program. Did you know he did pro wrestling? I've talked about it to a nauseating degree. If you make fun of yourself, Brendan, it's armor. The shit can't hit you. But if you sit there and you try to push back against stuff that you're guilty of, you're just going to have the year that you just had. Like,
yeah,
honestly,
I peed in the sink, man. I had to go.
The pissing thing, I can tell you from experience, not from pissing. But like the bad shit like that, if you have a sense of humor about it, 3 days, tops. 3 days, a tiny amount of time. But if you try to fight it and you try to resist it, it's going to be a whole, like he's seeing, it's going to be a whole year, 2 years. It's going to follow you
They'll
around.
bring it up every chance they get because they know it gets to you, homie.
And notice Howie's not bringing it up as a gag.
No, he's bringing it up as legit concern because he's worried that he might get piss on his hands.
Howie's terrified about the piss content in the sink. This isn't a joke to Howie. And Brendan's sitting here defending like, oh yeah, I did it once, maybe. Oh, it was an emergency one time.
Howie really looks like a disappointed grandfather. Like, why would you do that?
Yes. Oh, my Brendan, you have to say it ain't so. You're not pissing in the sink, are you?
You're too much of a good boy to do that sort of thing.
I tell all the people at the retirement home, my Brendan would never make wee-wee in the sink. Tell me you didn't. Don't make me a liar, son.
Pisses in the sink. Brendan's talked about he pissed in the sink.
I had to pee in the sink one time. It was a state of emergency.
I'll be honest. Where was the toilet?
I mean, you gotta have a key. It's like Alcatraz. It's a dicey security.
I'll be honest, if I met you on the street and somebody pointed at you and was like, that guy's a sink pisser, and they ran away, I probably would go, yeah, that checks out.
I believe that guy. Yeah, that's exactly it. You look at Brendan, you see a big dumb frat boy.
Yeah, you'd believe that he peed in a sink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah, the face usually matches the crime. But also you seem like you carry yourself with a swagger of like...
That's right. Brendan Schaub does seem like a sink pisser.
I love that we laugh, and Too Lazy to Try is doing it like he's Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, Brendan is probably a sink pisser.
We're here to report. We can confirm reports. Brendan does indeed look like a sink pisser. We have an artist sketching of what a sink pisser looks like, and they did, in fact, draw someone who looks remarkably similar to Brendan Schaub. Yeah, Brendan does look like a sink pisser. Just so matter of fact.
It just sounds like, like your pothead roommate listening to your story. Yeah, that sounds like something he did.
So that checks out. I wish they would have showed the reaction, though. I'd like to see how Brendan reacted to that guy's joke, because if he laughed along, then that's kind of selective
That's the right
editing,
idea.
right? Isn't that kind of selective editing? Let's go to do we have another Howie clip here? All right.
Whoever doesn't like that can go F themselves, because that's what Brendan Schaub's all about. So, yeah, that clip is amazing. That was hilarious. I'm happy how he did that.
That's the clip? Now, wait a minute. I want to see how Brendan reacted to the guy making fun of him, though.
Yeah, now I'm curious. How did he handle about the accusations of being a visually confirmed
Howie Mandel? I love how Brendan Schaub is now. Of all the things Howie Mandel has done in his illustrious career, when you type it up on YouTube,
he's right next to Brendan Schaub.
Immediately follows his name. If I'm YouTube, I'm ashamed of myself that I've treated Howie Mandel in this fashion. Can we get something different to go next to Howie Mandel's name? I get it. The algorithm is the algorithm, but still. Which one is this? Howie Mandel destroys Brendan Schaub, or Schaub gets trolled badly by Howie Mandel? This is both the TFATK
in this video we're
YouTube channel. Let's see if we can get some. How is this the?
That looks like
one?
the set.
I could have clicked out of this. I would.
Yeah, I don't want to be here.
Brendan, so you
This isn't the sink pisser one. Is this the sink pisser one?
the now infamous
Is this the sink pisser episode?
Don't
the
go to the bathroom
Oh,
there
here we
because you piss in the sink.
Piss
I
your
can get some
pants,
views.
One word.
Here.
ran away. I probably would go,
Here we
yeah,
go.
that checks
That
out.
tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah, the face usually matches the crime. But also you seem like you carry yourself with a swagger of like, if I got to go, I'm going to go right now.
Oh, it was, I'm telling you, it was terror level 5.
How
It was
did you...
either pissing my pants on air or doing it right there behind the sheets.
Well, next time commit to the bit and just see what happens. Right?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
If you piss your
Probably could get
pants-
some views.
One word. Catheter.
Oh, it's not bad.
You don't have to ever leave.
Or depends, right?
See?
They're having fun with it.
Have a little fun with it. Yeah, I piss in the sink. Maybe I should wear Depends. Ha 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 ha. That's
Howie self-cats.
Howie could maybe rehabilitate Brendan.
Let him learn how to do it.
Because didn't he say, wasn't Howie Mandel the one who told Brendan Schaub, like, look, if people are trolling you on the internet, like, just fucking own it and move on. Like,
you're winning when that's happening. You lose by engaging.
right. Howie Mandel taught me that. He just don't give it oxygen. These people need conflict. They need animosity. If they don't get it, they'll go somewhere else for
They
it.
need you to interact with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Pamper yourself.
now if you don't believe this
Pamper yourself. All right. So are there any more clips of Howie talking about? Okay. So
Yeah,
there's
no,
no
this
more
is-
clips.
It looks like it's all...
So no, wait a minute. Is this Mark Harley talking about the sink pissing? Yeah, he's just going on anybody's podcast. It doesn't matter who it is, and he's just ratting on him. Just everywhere he goes. And all these podcasts are going to want him on because they eat that shit up.
Yeah, because it's content.
Here's the problem, though. If you're Mark Harley, this is the only thing I'd warn him about. This shit is short money.
And
If there's
nobody's
any-
going to want to bring you in on anything. Nobody's
Right.
going to trust you ever again.
It's not really short money because you're not making any money off of it. You're just giving all this shit away for free. But now this is what happens with all these shows. All these shows that rely on dirt and drama and all this stuff and don't diversify like this one does, eventually
You run out of dirt.
it all tips over. You get top heavy, you tip over. You either make yourself miserable or you run out of dirt or you got to try and dig up dirt, which is desperate. And in Mark Harley's case, like, you're not even doing a show, you're doing other people's shows.
Well,
And you're giving the shit away. And like you said, reputation-wise, nobody's going to
you're
want to bring him
trashing it
on.
every time.
Yeah. Nobody's going to want to bring him aboard to do something. If his plans are to do something outside of podcasting, then this is fine. You'll be okay.
Can he even do anything inside of podcasting of just say maybe doing his own show?
He did one for Thick Boy, and I don't think it was very good. He's another one of these guys, believe it or not, who does not have a great sense of humor about himself. Like, he did a whole show called Haters Will Say, where he obsessed over what haters do.
And you didn't laugh at it, did you, homie?
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll listen to this clip real quick.
How often did Brenda piss in the sink?
Did multiple times a day.
He did piss in the sink.
Oh, multiple times a day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
These
again,
men are both probably in their 40s. I just want to point that part out.
He looks older than 40.
These men are probably both at least 40 years old. And they're talking about who pissed in the sink. And how many times did they piss in the sink? I tell you, man, this is why my audience is the best audience. They take a break from the fucking internet. They don't live there. Because if you live on the internet, eventually you're going to watch two grown men talk about another grown man and how often he pisses in the sink. And you're going to think it's really good content. You're not going to be like this show and point out, this is fucking gay to be 40 years old and talking about a guy pissing in the sink. You're going to go and you're going to live on the internet. You go, I got to hear how did he piss in the sink?
Which hand did he use?
Like, the more of this shit comes out, the more like weird sympathy I have for Brendan Schaub in a strange way, where I'm like, all right, right already. We know what he is. We got it. He's a big dumb fuck.
You can't keep dropping these bombs because at a certain point it's gonna fail.
Right.
Oh, look, he did this. Yeah, duh,
Yeah.
Brendan.
When you bomb an area and you knock out a factory, that's effective. When you bomb an area and you just bomb a hole in the ground that you already bombed, you're not doing any more damage.
Yeah, you're just kind of
Wasting bombs. Yeah.
and like this, it was weird. Like it didn't. I think a lot of other people had a more visceral reaction to it. So, only like the creative director Mike Nell, who's a great guy. And great guy. Never met him. He was the one who and he's really direct too. Mike's a really great communicator, and I liked working with him as I like working with everybody.
Yeah, guys, this guy isn't your hero.
Because at Thick Boy, because they're all good dudes. Mike was a really good communicator, and he was able to communicate directly with Brendan, and that's what would create tension because he would say things like
sink pissing.
Okay,
back on topic.
Yeah, I can't listen to this fucking guy. So he says Brendan pissed in the sink a lot. Okay. I just I don't know. It's just like, to me, it's like it's fun for a little while, but then it's just like, guys, let's laugh at this shit.
I'm just upsetting the haters, P.
Yeah, people he's upsetting the haters, P.